Crafty friends, welcome. Amanda here with Crafting with Amanda, and today is day 4 of the 30 days of sketches from Christy's Beautiful Life, and this is my page that I did. And the sketch today comes from Brenda Ragsdale, and it's a couple circle elements with 2 photos and then a banner in the back. She has a floral element there and then butterflies to the upper right corner. And I found these photos. Again, I am working with photos from the 50s and 60s of my mom and her life. So using this sketch as an inspiration, I went to my Cricut and I cut a 7-inch circle, and then I cut a 6.5-inch circle, and I just clipped the 6.5-inch circle out of the side of that 7-inch circle within Cricut Design Space just to save paper so that I could cut some other elements using that same cardstock. And I have a title that I have put together, and then I have these 3 photos, and I'm not sure if the 3 photos are actually all of this rainbow camp at Oak Hill, but they might be, they might not be, but they all have the date September of 61 on them. So I wanted to give some interest on my layout, but I didn't want to overpower the photos, and that's where I'm really trying to find my way through this heritage album. I've never done this before, and I want the photos to be the stars. So the first few layouts that I did, I don't want to say they were simplistic, but I definitely was a little more restrained in techniques and that I used on them. But now I feel like, all right, I can do some of this. In texture paste especially, it dries a little off-white, kind of in a antique-y color, which is perfect for these old-time photos and the kind of the feel for the page. So what I did off camera is I took all of these inks, and then some of the elements that I'm going to have on the page for a banner and then the title, I wanted to represent the rainbow, but I knew that if I used the actual cardstock colors, it would be too vivid. They would be too intense or too highly saturated, and they would compete against the photos, and you would actually probably lose the photos because your eyes would be drawn there instead. So what I came up with was I cut out on Colonial White cardstock what I wanted, and now I'm just using a blender brush and the true, like this happens to be Candy Apple Red on the Colonial White cardstock, but I'm not putting a heavy layer on it. It's just a light kind of dusting of the color, so it's nice muted, and I think this works really well with these photos and how the page is gonna, you're gonna be able to see the photos. And I just want you to pay attention to this one photo that's in the middle. Anytime you get to look at that, apparently it was some sort of a prank or whatever in one of the cabins. And I think it's a bikini, and there's a pair of boots, and then the bikini top and bottom that are just hung in midair. It's like there's a ghost, someone's wearing them, but there's nothing, actually you can't see any wires or anything. So the girls did a really good job with setting that up. And I was auditioning different elements to try to act as that banner that's underneath the circles in the photos there on the left, and it wasn't working for me. So then I grabbed some of these leaves that I had die cut on day 1 for some of my layouts. I had this, it's kind of an orangey red, but with the white core it has a softer feel to it, so it's not quite so intense. And so again, I think it just works with the muted tones of these photos. And then I went back to the paper pack that I'm adding into my supplies here and pulled this banner, and it has just a very light blue color with it. And then it was the base page for a layout, or it was a printed page probably to be used like a base page. And I'm just cutting it and embracing that side element and everything on it. And here I'll just use my fingers to measure how far up I need to cut that to tuck it in under the circle. And you can see that I've lined the title up here in the bottom corner, just like the sketch has. And I'm just I like to dry fit. I like to get an idea of how things are going to go on the page. And so here I have put all of those rainbow banner stations together, and I'm showing you how I did that. I just put a little bit of glue along the one edge and kind of layered them on top of each other. And then I added banners for hope and charity. And faith, I don't know if you can see, is kind of tucked in beneath the photos under the leaves. And those are all stations within the Rainbow Girl community. Rainbow is a Masonic organization, if you're not familiar with that. And my mom was a part of it in West Virginia, and I was a part of it in Michigan. Actually, if you've watched my channel before, you have seen some of those rainbow layouts. So here I just tuck that faith right up underneath my textured paste circle. And so I'm just kind of reviewing, have I met some of the elements on the layout? Do I have things represented? I think we're good to go there. So now I'm just going to add the butterfly. Originally I wasn't going to do it, but after I put the banner of the rainbow stations on, there was just kind of a gap between that corner section of green and the banner, and I wanted to kind of camouflage that or not have it be so prevalent. So I pulled from the Sawyer card making workshop this moth, and then I inked it in nectarine, and then did just the edges, rolled the edges in candy apple, so it gives it two different tones to the moth. And now I'm just going to add the sequins, and you kind of try to keep them in odd numbers if you can get them in triangles, whether it's a true 90-degree triangle or a 45-degree triangle. It doesn't matter. You just kind of want to keep them in odd numbers and scatter them throughout the page. I did one on the bottom of this banner, so I decided that I would do one up here on the top of this banner. So here's a close-up of the page. I really love how the word rainbow turned out and the rainbow station banner turned out. I think that I'm learning a lot during this process, and I'm looking forward to doing more pages in this heritage style and just telling the stories that some of them I know and some of them I don't know. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, you can do that. All the links for everybody else that's participating in the 30 days of sketches is in the descriptions. Here's another video you may be interested in, and I hope you have a blessed day. Thank you.